Welcome back to Bass University Episode 2. If you can't tell, this one's going to be a slightly different format because we're going to be touching on some different topics and some of the more promised things I've mentioned as far as fundamentals and specifics. I'm going to keep this video on the shorter side. It's going to be more to equip you rather than to sit there and give a lecture that you might have to write down things to remember about. But basically, I'm just going to start off with a quick story. I don't know if you guys have ever been in the situation, like buying something from IKEA, for example, or maybe a Lego set. And I don't know, I like Legos. And the situation, you find yourself in a situation where all of a sudden you have all these pieces, but you don't have the instructions. And you're really wondering how to put it all together. And you might be looking online for certain things. You might have conflicting responses. And you just really find yourself frustrated. And if you've been in that situation before, congratulations, because that's perfectly describing how I felt for a long period of time trying to teach myself bass or trying to figure out how to play a certain song, because I felt like I was always finding conflicting responses online, whether I was looking at chord charts, whether I was looking at tutorials for things. And even though bass is one of the easier instruments as far as technique goes, it's almost became the bane of the instrument, because just if everyone thinks it's so easy to play that they actually don't make a tutorial video for it, so then you're stuck just kind of coming up with things. So if you can go ahead and direct your attention to the screen, I'm going to be showing you guys how I typically go about preparing for a Sunday, and more importantly, addressing where to find the resources, because we do have them. We've gone ahead, we've signed up for services, we have tutorials accessible, things that aren't just on YouTube, although that is helpful. So if you're going to go ahead and direct your attention here to the screen, I have Google open. And our first resource that is going to be your primary go-to no matter how you're practicing, especially on bass, is going to be Worship Online. And this is something that we have a login for. I can go ahead, it's on Slack. I believe the login is myactivechurch.org and or at myactivechurch.org. It's a mail account, and I believe the password is just worship ! If not, double check. It can change from time to time. But this is your number one resource to go to. If you look here, we have plenty of songs. This is all updated by the site themselves. So like, for example, Same God. We don't normally play this song, but there are all the instruments here. So let's say hypothetically, I'm now going to go over into teams. And let's say hypothetically I was scheduled on this upcoming Sunday, March 12th. And we have My Testimony, Who You Say I Am, and Son of Suffering. And like most of us, I'm maybe not familiar with Son of Suffering because that's a newer song. It's Bethel. It might be complicated. So I go over here on the right. This is also available on the app version. And I'm looking and I see, okay, the Spotify link, the lyrics link, and another link. And then I find, okay, here's the MP3. And here's the song select chart. So the song select chart might be helpful. It might be nice to know the notes that I'm going to be playing during the verse and things like that. But this actually leaves out a lot. And for a long time, I used to practice with just looking at a song select chart, and that left out a lot because you have no idea when your fills are, when your riffs are, what percentage you should be playing, if you should be playing at all as bass. This is usually for the acoustic guitar and keys players. So I would strongly recommend avoiding just practicing with a chord chart. On top of that, also, we at Active Church use the number system, not the chord chart system. So if you get up there and your PD yells at you to play a 4-5-6, you're gonna have to translate how you learned that from, if you're playing in the key of A, all of a sudden you're like, all right, which one's the D, which one's the E minor, and also, like I said too, it's really important that if you have a heart of worship and you're pursuing other instruments outside of bass, it's just really fun when you start throwing in capos and stuff like that. So I'm going to say it again. Number system will be time effective to learn. It will save you so much time in the future. I went a whole year without learning it, and I wasted so much time. Cannot emphasize it enough. We've even talked about removing these chord charts from teams entirely, so people are forced to practice the number system, but we're not that mean. So, hypothetically speaking, we don't have a song select chart, because sometimes that happens. And more importantly, you realize that you want to go to the next level as a bass player, and you don't want to just read off of a sheet. You want to learn more. So we're going to go ahead and go to Worship Online. And more than not, if you look up the song, I'm going to go ahead and pull up Son of Suffering here. And we're going to find, okay, look at that. We have Son of Suffering, we have the key, we have the beats per minute, and the time signature. That's helpful for all the instruments. And just like that, we have all of our chord charts here, which is funny. You didn't really need to find it on Teams anyway. And you can navigate by the structure of the song. You can go to tabs. Tabs will show you how to play. This is a lot more helpful, but we're still looking at Electric 1, so I'm going to go ahead and go into bass. I can show drive when you're playing microsynth, and it will give you the tabs to play. Now, keep in mind, this is in the original key of the song, so you can go ahead, and I believe you can, yeah, you can navigate in between the instruments and go ahead and look at the lyrics. But most importantly, the thing that most of us are here for is the bass. And you can go ahead and pull up, I hope the audio doesn't flash, but there is a tutorial of how to play the song along with a playthrough of the song. So with the tutorial, it's
Let's take a look at the bass line for Son of Suffering by Bethel Music. So the bass is one of those songs where octave, fuzz, square wave filter thing, where if you don't have a bass microsynth, you can just achieve this by having like an octave pedal, like a OC2, like it just.
So what he's talking about here is an overdrive pedal, something that we do not currently have functioning on our pedal board. We do have an octave effect that Isaac can turn on from the back. For this song specifically, I've gone ahead and linked it, and I'll talk about it in the future. We're just going to go ahead and play higher octaves here. It's not that complicated, but the most important part here is that you're going to watch this bass lesson, you're going to learn from him, and the idea is to be able to play along perfectly with what we have here on our Worship Online playthrough, how he's playing. Notice how he's playing with a pick here. I personally don't like to play with a pick as much just for more control, but on songs like this where you're driving pretty heavily for most of the song, it is helpful to have a pick. So, that being said, Worship Online go-to must-have for practicing on a Sunday, but hypothetically speaking, let's say Worship Online does not have a song, it's a newer one, we're playing an active worship original, that is the case sometimes too if we're going to be playing King Forever. So, you're going to want to go and check out this. This is a macro document that we have with active worship song tutorials. This is going to be populated. Yeah, here we go. Here's the Worship Online login information at amaganya@myactivechurch.org and worship ! And the important part, Ryan's already gone ahead and outlined some of the essentials. You know, you want to watch these worship and watch these worship songs on your own and worship along with them. Learning the parts, practicing with the metronome is huge. And you're going to want to go ahead and practice in Prime. I don't currently have Prime pulled up, but I will show a quick video from my phone explaining how to use Prime as well. I'm sure all the other guys are going to be covering this stuff, so I'm mostly trying to focus here right now on what the bass is going to be concerned with. So back to this document, you're going to go ahead and navigate down to the bass area, and if you notice, I've already gone ahead and populated some of this area with links to potential YouTube videos and comments on why I like them, because sometimes Worship Online can be a bit basic, or sometimes they can not have the song. So I've gone ahead and linked this Good Grace tutorial. It's pretty simple here. This guy comes in, he plays, he doesn't really tab it out, he kind of just shows you, but with bass the frets are big enough you can just count and practice along. Obviously I believe he's in the key of G here, or the key of A, and yeah, you can obviously transpose up and down. We usually don't navigate too far from songs unless they're really, really high. We have a male lead. So you're going to want to go ahead and refer to this master document. Just for in general, there's a lot. I'm going to try and find songs that have fills in them specifically. A great example of this that's almost infamous at this point is the Do It Again verse 2 solo for Elevation Worship. If you don't know, it's a classic, but a lot of times people are disappointed if you do not hit this solo. And in the navigation, he's going to be on the 3, I believe, for the 4, and then he's going to slide up to the 2 here, watch. So you go a whole octave. So that was pretty quick. A lot was happening there, and most importantly, you don't want to try and count that, so you're going to go ahead and navigate to the bass lesson. He's going to show you how to play these parts.
1, 2. And those notes is just it's just C, D, F, and C, and so that would be 2, 3, 5, 2.
Which is really helpful. That will save you a lot of time because I used to search around looking for tabs online for a very, very long time. And now that will obviously be on Worship Online, and if it's not, I'm going to go ahead and try and find versions of songs with those riffs in them. I think it's very important as a bass player, just overall, to be playing the riffs. I think it connects. I think it shows that you've mastered the song and that you've actually practiced the song, but also it shows that you're adding intricacies and really excelling in your craft and practicing transitioning between strings and staying on time. And overall, it's just a fun thing to do too. I mean, like, who doesn't want to play fun riffs? So I'm going to go ahead and challenge you as a bass player. I think you should be attempting one riff that you don't fully feel like. You should be attempting one riff a Sunday. I think that's how it should go. Maybe it's something quiet. Maybe it's literally just one thing that you hit during one verse. And if provided it's in the major pentatonic scale, if we're playing 3 basic songs with no bass riffs, go ahead and come up with something and maybe run it past Ryan or whoever is PDing during the run through on Thursday to make sure you practice it fully, because it is something that's really fun to do and it's something that's really fun to practice, and most importantly, it'll make you a better player. Going forward, I think this is just in summary of how to put all the small pieces together as though you were building an IKEA table. Worship Online is going to be your go-to. It's going to be your gravy. It's going to be your sauce. You're going to also want to navigate over everything with your Teams app that will show you what songs you're playing and have a default if you need to go back to chord charts. And then our master document here that will be linked probably below is our Google Sheets, and that will have keys, electric, bass, and the rest linked for tutorials too of things that the coaches specifically like. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. And I'm going to go ahead and just throw in a little quick recording of how I set up Prime. Okay, so if you notice here, I've gone ahead and navigated to Prime on my phone. This is looking like a complicated setup. Basically, I'm going to keep it real simple. You're going to want to add your songs here by clicking this button. There will be a list of songs that we have purchased with Active's license. You can go ahead and look. I've already imported it, but another example would be Son of Suffering, which is here. And then you can import it. Make sure you're always importing the original. If there's not, then just import the next best thing you can find. Son of Suffering will be here. This is a set list that I've created. There's a lot of random songs on here. And notice how I can set the BPM here to whatever I want it to be for the click. I can set the key, so if I don't like playing an E, I can play up to B, and it will, if I hit apply, when I play this, the key of everything is going to be slightly
Verse 2, 3,
pitched.
4.
And the most important thing that I like to do here is that you notice all of these levers that you can, or not levers, slides that you can use to practice along to. Best thing you need to be practicing with, as Ryan always reiterates, cues and click are nice, but also, if you can, solo the bass here, so you can just listen to what the bass is playing during certain parts of the song. So I'm going to go ahead. And that's a great way just to go ahead and practice throughout the song, especially with the arrangement and the click, so you're playing on time. This is going to be crucial also for playing when you're playing. Yeah, it's just going to be crucial overall. I don't know where I was really going with that one. So I hope this tutorial is helpful. Note, do not hit this big red sync button up in the top right corner. That is a massive no-no. That will basically sync whatever you have on your phone to the iPad that will be up on platform on Sunday, so that will set us back, and it has happened in the past, and it's not a good thing. So do not press that sync button, and make sure to navigate throughout by hitting add song. You can go ahead and import set list too. This is important too. I'm going to go here and I can hit load set list, and the cool part is that I can just go ahead and load March 12th, March 5th, whatever the arrangement is going to be, and throw that in so you can just practice along. You don't have to go re-importing songs.